Beijing held a Victory Day parade this week commemorating the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. In attendance, 20 visiting heads of state, including Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Joining us right now is Kyle Bass, Hayman Capital Management founder and CIO. And Kyle, you've been talking for a long time about your concerns about China. Maybe nothing put it on better display for what this means in terms of this new world order than what we saw this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very large military parade, and their militaristic advances in the South China Sea are something that the world seems to just ignore. And as we push towards further economic integration, we are kind of leaving their militaristic advances around the South China Sea as kind of something to negotiate separately. And I think we should be negotiating those things together.
I wonder how you view what's happened in this administration overall, because the hawkishness against China permeates both parties. It has for a while. But this administration has, as you mentioned, put some things on the back burner, hoping that we can get some economic issues worked out in advance.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're both trying to buy time. You know, when you look at the NVIDIA deal with this administration, we're obviously not ready. We don't have the rare earth magnets. We don't have the rare earth processing capabilities.
Yeah, they kind of caught us when we tried to do something about that.
Yeah, and they, of course, are far. Everyone believes they're on par with us in AI. They're certainly behind us on AI chip production and the capacity of these chips to run inference. So we're in a place where what just happened felt like a hostage transfer. I said that before, like where we are two superpowers engaging in hostage exchanges. And we're both trying to buy time to get us to the point where we feel like we can be kinetically involved. And like we don't want to be kinetically involved with China. But since 2017, you mentioned this bipartisan support. Xi Jinping has told you and told the world that he is going to take Taiwan, whether by force or not, during his lifetime. So there's a juxtaposition of this concept that China plays the long game, but right now you've got a very competent leader that has purged all of his naysayers out of his administration in China, and he holds all 5 tools of dictatorship firmly in his hand. So I think we need to be focusing on the man and how old he is and how much longer he has before we realize that China isn't going to just play a long game here.
When you say we're both trying to buy time, how much time do we need to buy? What happens in the meantime? What's playing out behind the scenes, both here and there?
Yeah, look, we know that our precision weapons capacity today, what we've seen happen in Ukraine, what the strike in Iran, I think woke up a few people here about our precision weapons capacity. If we get into a kinetic conflict with an adversary and a worthy adversary like China, we have to keep a certain battle rhythm of these kinds of weapons. And that battle rhythm right now is measured, let's just say, in days, not weeks or months. And so you saw in the big beautiful bill, there's $200 billion. In addition to the current defense budget, there's $200 billion set aside for rare earth metals, refining, processing, and mining. There's shipbuilding, and then there's another $100 billion for tip-of-the-spear defense tech. And
is that enough?
It would be a great start. And so you ask how long we need. You know, we need 18 months, and China needs maybe a little bit longer than that. But again, you know, these things don't tend to go when you're ready.
Hopes for Putin and Trump, and I don't know what we were hoping for. Is there any hope for anything? And are you ready to coin a new axis of evil with the 3 countries that were just participating in that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Joe, if Wall Street were to read each year, all 16 intelligence agencies report up to the DNI, and DNI issues a classified report and an unclassified report every March, and it's the DNI threat assessment to Congress.
I mean, Russia is in the axis of is China in the axis?
It's been China, Russia,
Do you
Iran,
put them in an axis of evil?
100%.
You do. China's there. I mean, Putin. You can't sugarcoat what's happening.
Can I say one last thing? We were talking about cars about UAW this morning and competition and just products that are being produced in China, either at cheap prices, but oftentimes at amazing quality. And what we should think about that as Americans who do like competition, because I was making the argument 10 years from now, it is very possible we're going to be driving around in cars that are, frankly, not as good, and we're going to be paying more for them here in the United States. We've created this very tariffed domestic market. We sort of argue we're doing that for supply chain or even national security purposes. By the way, refrigerators aren't even made in America anymore.
You heard Sean Fain's answer. I don't like the talk. I don't worry about competition. We make the best cars here.
Yep.
I mean, that sounds like something you'd say when they had to bring out the K cars, and we weren't making.
But I wonder what that means long term, because it means that we're creating a sort of completely and utter domestic market, which may be good in some ways, but may not be as good in other ways. And maybe most Americans won't even realize the difference down the line.
Look, I've ridden in a BYD car. I don't know if you've ridden in one. They're now Ubers in Paris. So when you Uber in Paris, they're Chinese cars everywhere.
China.
And I know it feels like feels just like you're getting in a Tesla. My son said, "Dad, are we in a Tesla?" You know, that's what it feels like. To your point, it's a very well built car. But again, when you think about the national security of our country, and you think about cars, you think about anything that China can engage in from a perspective of free power, free real estate, low wages, maybe even slave wages, to take over an industry. They've done that with us with steel and aluminum. That's why the 301 and 232 tariffs stayed in place in the Biden administration. We have to protect some of our domestic industries, Andrew, or else it will all revert to lowest common denominator, which is China, and then we have a national security issue. So, yes, we must push back. We must have domestic industry. And look, our innovative capacity here, last time I was on the program, maybe before, was we were talking about this company, Divergent, out on the West Coast. I mean, I've seen a company 3D print a cruise missile in 2 hours. I've seen a company in America making chassis, cars, and brake systems for European supercar companies in America, in California of all places. So our innovative spirit is growing, and our, call it, necessities and mother of invention. We are developing some of the most amazing defense technology companies in the world. I know you guys have Joe Lonsdale coming. I saw him backstage. You know, U.S. tech innovation is happening at breakneck speed, and we are doing things that make us re-competitive on the global manufacturing front. So we will see a global digital manufacturing renaissance in the U.S., and it's happening right now. And that BBB bill and the $200 billion is going to show you what America can do in the next 12 to 18 months.